one of our brothers a couple of years back told us a story of his fairly short football career. So we'll just give him the name Sean, but he was telling us how he was on a football team and he, how should I say this? Football wasn't really his thing. And so he remembers his dad coming along to watch the match. So his dad is standing at the sideline. And when Sean was there, when there wasn't anything happening, like when the ball wasn't anywhere near him, he just thought he'd just sit down. So he sat down on the pitch and just started kind of pulling grass, and then making a little heap then of pulled grass, and then kind of moving the pulled grass over, and then the ball would go dum 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 dum, and he was completely oblivious to the match, and his father on the sideline going, Sean, you might, oh dear. Needless to say, he didn't get very far. He wasn't picked very often. Wasn't really his thing. But I think it is an effective analogy for us when we think of the spiritual battle that's going on around us. Because I've heard a couple of times recently, in the last couple of days, I'm done. This whole spiritual battle thing, or this whole battle in general thing, this whole life thing, I'm just done. I'm done. The issue with saying I'm done is that you saying you're done doesn't stop the battle, doesn't stop life. The match is still ongoing. Or if you're sitting down or standing up, the match is ongoing anyway. And if you're sitting down, the match is still in play. So if you say, I'm done, life is still running. Life is still ongoing. And certain doors will open and certain doors will close and certain trains will arrive at the station, certain trains will leave, certain opportunities will come and go. But if our eyes are closed to them, we miss them, because we were too busy sitting down pulling grass. So it's just, like we were saying yesterday, and maybe meditating a bit this year, time ill spent is lost forever. The time that we have today, we only have today. The opportunities that will arise today may not come again. The people we meet, the chances we have to help, may only arise today. And once they're gone, they may never return. I mean, I told you the story of how my parents met, through my dad's ingrown toenails, and the two of them, the two of them in hospital, as in he was in hospital with his two toenails, and mom there and all. But it's a chance meeting, and that's how I came into existence along with my 3 siblings, and now our 9, they're 9 grandchildren, all through that chance meeting that God arranged. That wasn't arranged by either of them, but the Lord arranged the circumstances, and voila, here I am in existence. So it's just the small little opportunities. These are once in a lifetime things. But if I say, yeah, I'm done. I'm just it's just easier. Do what everyone else is doing. It's just easier. Go where everyone else is going. It's just easier. And then you end up where everyone else is, which isn't a happy place. Read the stats. Look at the newspaper articles, check out what's really happening as regards mental health in this country. Ask in secondary schools how many hours now are being dedicated towards mental health and, what do they call it, relaxation, and like the numbers have, the hours dedicated to that kind of thing in secondary schools have probably more than quadrupled since my time. So all to kind of calm down the levels of stress in students and all, because they don't know how to go. So let's all go that direction, will we? Or not. Can we try something else? Can we try fighting? And the interesting thing about the fight is the fight is a real battle. And if you're kind of clued into what's happening in the religious world in recent years and definitely recent months, anything good is taking a hammering. Anything good is really under attack. And I've spoken to different priests and different religious, and they say the same thing. I feel it in myself. I've never had such a kind of a heaviness about this wonderful place that I am here. But it's not always a walk in the park either. But there's just this kind of cloud or darkness, or anybody who's got a kind of a depressive tendency or this kind of latent depression within them, I think they're going to feel it very, very acutely now. There really is an influence out there, an attack, a battle, a darkness out there, which is really trying to take us away from God. So this is the spiritual battle. We're in it whether we like it or not. And you're on the battlefield, whether you can sit down if you want, but you're on the battlefield regardless. Sitting down doesn't take you out of the battle. just means you're more likely to get hit, actually. So the Lord talks about this in this battle today, because the battle primarily is going to be internal. There's no one outside arresting us or throwing us into prison. But if your hand should cause you to sin, cut it off. And this is gentle little Jesus who goes on to say, for it is better for you to enter into life crippled than to have two hands and go to hell. And if your foot should cause you to sin, cut it off. Because it's better to live life here, crippled, than have 2 feet and dance your merry way to hell. And if your eye should cause you to sin. Oh, and there's another translation. In the American translation, it's gouge it out, which is just that bit more graphic. Gouge it out. For it is better for you to go through life partially blind than with 2 eyes to go to hell. Words of Jesus, not mine. This is how serious he takes this spiritual battle. Like this is serious, and this is real, and this is today. And all of us are engaged in it, whether we like it or not, whether we want to or not. The battle is ongoing around us. So the choice now is yours. The choice now is yours what you do with this spiritual battle today. I'm not saying for a second anyway naively that this is easy. But it's just at the moment, this is just life. So we just have to get on with it. So what are we going to do? What are our strategies? What are our weapons? Who are our team? Who's around us? What are our advantages? We don't have to be kind of blind in all of this. We have a church with all of the treasures of the truth entrusted to it. And that's our team. That's what we're part of. So we have all the graces and strength that we need. We do. We're weaker if the more sin that is in our life, the weaker we are, because the more susceptible we are to temptation. So how do we overcome that? Well, confession. Get back on track with God. And then our daily bread, our daily strengthening. Obviously, primarily the Eucharist, and then our regular prayer life. And then all of the additional things that we can possibly have: consecration to Our Lady, miraculous medal, brown scapular, regular use of holy water, all these kind of things. These are all part of our arsenal in this battle. And then there are other things that maybe are a little more kind of subtle, but very, very important. It's the desire to do God's will. The desire to please God. The desire to do all things out of love for Him. That's a huge weapon, if you will, on our side. Because that stops us from getting diverted by the busyness of life, but just to do everything out of love for Him. To do everything out of love for Him. Transform our day into love. We know ultimately how the battle ends. Or should I say, we know how the war ends. At the end of the war, we win, because God can't lose. Now, individual battles can be lost, and individual people can be lost. And so we shouldn't be complacent either. The war will be won by God, absolutely. But individual people, individual communities, absolutely can be lost. So this is serious. Like, just because God is on our side doesn't mean it's automatic. We have to work with Him. And when we do, just like we saw this morning, out of a bleak mid-winter-like morning, we now have snow-capped hills and an epic-looking mountain out the front and snow all over the back, and now the sun is shining through. It looks like Austria. Looks pretty amazing out there. It didn't 4 hours ago, but it does now. So, do we believe that in this spiritual battle that the Lord is really at our side? Do we? And do we believe that in this darkness, these dark days at times, that Our Lady will guide us to the light? Do we believe these things? Because we've got to start using them. We've got to start drawing from them and living in those realities and just immersing ourselves. And for us in Holy Family, I think we need to do something about our own little prayer lives, but we'll be working on that later outside of a homily. But just to really root ourselves in prayer, root ourselves in God. We've got to make some steps there, and then we'll begin to see that this spiritual battle, it's like we're fighting a whole load of Rottweilers who have chains around their necks. They have a limited range of attack. They're not free to roam wherever they want. We just have to stay out of range. We just have to stay away from them. They're not, like, the enemy is not infinite. The enemy cannot do anything he wants. But if we get within range, then we're going to get in trouble. So they look fierce and they look ferocious, but they're actually not as scary as they seem. Because with God on our side, who can be against us? So we ask the Lord today, in our spiritual battles, to strengthen us, to guide us, and to fill us with hope. Dare I say, even fill us with joy. We have been chosen to live in this time. We have been chosen to fight now. So let's do it. Amen.